Mike Perry has dominated the world of bare-knuckle boxing and become an MMA icon. Known for his KO power and his formidable chin, he's caused chaos in and out of the ring. Now one of the most dangerous fighters on the planet takes on a new challenge in the boxing ring as he takes on celebrity superstar Jake Paul.
I know he's gonna hit me good, and I might like it, and I'm gonna hit him back, and he ain't gonna like it.
Live only on DAZN, this is his story. Flint, Michigan has fight heritage. It's home to legends such as Claressa Shields and Floyd Money Mayweather. It's also the birthplace of Mike Perry.
Obviously, I've been influenced by some fighters, you know. Alex Pereira right now is killing the game. I was influenced by John Jones. I went and trained with him for a little bit, and you know, big fan of him because he's just undefeated, undisputed through so many challenges. In Mayweather, Mayweather's great because he's just perfect.
Perry's start in life wasn't straightforward.
When you think of Michigan, when you think of Detroit, you think of people who are tough, people who don't back down, people who have been through it all.
Growing up as a young man there, you're gonna get yourself probably into some trouble, into some fights, and that's kind of what happened to Mike.
That's where Mike Perry is from. He is that kind of guy.
Flint is where the heart is, but also where Mike made his name.
My friend, the Spartan, we've been training together since a young age. His dad used to come and pick me up with a Gatorade and a protein bar in the back seat, and me and him were just sitting in his living room one time, just thinking of names. And it's actually PMP, so Platinum Mike Perry is the way I came up with it.
But you're so committed to that name, you got it tattooed right here on your eyebrow.
After my UFC debut, I got the face tat, and yeah, I got platinum because, you know, it kind of works out. It's like a conductor of energy, and, you know, it takes more and gives back.
With a name like Platinum Mike Perry, he was always destined to be a star.
My first fight, it was an MMA fight at a Hooters in Lansing, Michigan. They had a circus tent in the back, and there was about, you know, 500 to 1,000 people there, and it was my first fight, and I dropped that guy. You know, I remember just trying to find out about, you know, how to cut weight and things like that. I put bags on, I put trash bags on and went running, and I had no clue about diet or dehydration. I just figured it out over the years and did my research, and I failed a lot.
A pro career was on the cards, and after just 7 fights, Perry made his debut in the UFC. His first fight was against Lim Hung-Yu, where he won in round 1.
I think Mike Perry coming into the UFC was always a little limited because his weapon selection, what he likes to use to beat people, is his boxing, is his hand. But he was always seeming to go up against other MMA guys who were maybe more complete than he was. And you know, in Mike's 15 fights in the UFC, he got some knockouts early on. He is very difficult to put away, and he wants to kind of make the fight as gritty and as dirty as possible.
He was just a guy who always delivered for the UFC.
In no time, I knocked out, you know, 7 more people and was 9-0 in the UFC. 3 times in 4 months I fought in the UFC in my first year there.
But after going 9-0 in the cage, the losses started coming.
Against high-level guys where there's a lot more strategy and, you know, the wider range of MMA is on the table, Mike wasn't always able to beat those guys.
He's knocked people out and he's been knocked out. There was one time where his nose got completely shifted to the side, like it was just absolutely shifted.
Despite a downturn in form, Mike's personality and fighting style made him a name.
Mike Perry, you know, he was in the UFC, he's not now, but he's still in his prime. And he's also taken on a guy who's at the peak of his confidence, you know. Mike has already had a dip. He's now up the top. He's never been more confident as a fighter right now.
Well, I mean, I am quite the brawler. I just accept fighting for what it is and, you know, what it is to me. I'm not the tallest, I'm not the longest. I gotta get in there. Sometimes I gotta get hit if I wanna hit you. Some guys are really slick. Some people are really talented at a lot of different things. It might not even be fighting, but like one of my best attributes is my ability to take a hit and keep coming.
His fighting style is really influenced by the fact that he started off as a boxer. That was his first martial art. And as a result of that, he does have a very punch-heavy style when you're looking at mixed martial arts, which is why he transitioned so well to stuff like bare-knuckle boxing.
Mike was dangerous in the cage, and outside of it, he was unpredictable.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a great matchup in the future.
Can't think off the top of my head of him being involved in a boring fight, a fight that didn't live up to whatever expectations were set on that fight. So he usually delivers, and especially in this post-UFC run of his, primarily in bare-knuckle fighting, he has always delivered.
He's constantly in war mode. He's a guy that lives for confrontation.
After the UFC, Mike turned to bare-knuckle boxing, where his dangerous reputation continued.
He found the perfect lane in bare-knuckle fighting. He is tailor-made for that sport. And while in the UFC, he was one of many faces, in BKFC, he is the face of bare-knuckle fighting.
Now live on DAZN, a challenge of a different kind, as Mike swaps the cage for the ring and a pay-per-view bout with Jake Paul. Jake may have fought MMA stars before, but none with the power and grit like Platinum Mike Perry.
I think for Jake Paul to be successful on July 20th, he needs to make sure that he doesn't get into a dogfight with Mike Perry. Don't clinch with him. And I know he's the bigger guy, but this is where Mike Perry thrives. He wants to make it dirty. Jake needs to stay away from all of that, in my opinion. He needs to fight on the outside. He needs to use his jab. He needs to use his reach. He needs to use his speed. He needs to try to outbox Mike Perry.
I say 7th round, I knock him out. Put him down on a knee, get the ref to step in, I'm gonna be all over him. I mean, with them 10-ounce gloves, I'm cracking. I put some weight on, I'm hitting really hard. I know he gonna be hitting hard, but I think I'm more technical. I think I got more swag. I think I'm from the streets, and I think he ain't.
Mike Perry needs to make this as close to a bare-knuckle fight as possible, as close to an MMA fight as possible.
With the bare-knuckle, you know, it's really interesting to hit people without gloves, and I think me and Jake are fighting with 10-ounce gloves, and I got a mean punch. It's like carrying a couple of shotguns on my hands, because I got a mean punch with those 10-ounce gloves. So I know he's gonna hit me good, and I might like it, and I'm gonna hit him back, and he ain't gonna like it.
With Mike Perry's unpredictable style, anything is possible.
I hope they wrap his hand real nice. I'm still playing. I mean, I did this to my hands yesterday with the big old wrap and pad and 10-ounce gloves on, and I think that's a pretty good spot. I think that's what we're aiming for. So, you know, I'm gonna be on my toes in there.
These two big personalities will go head-to-head in the ring in Tampa, Florida on July 20th. Make sure you tune in to Jake Paul versus Mike Perry, live only on DAZN.
Live only on DAZN, July 20. Jake Paul versus Mike Perry.
I fear no man. I'm ready anytime, any place, anyone. People think I'm crazy.
Mike Perry ends people.
A violent, bare-knuckle, undefeated legend.
He is a savage. He is an absolute killer.
I'm gonna hurt you bad. I'm bringing the pain. You will be terrified.
Jake Paul versus Mike Perry, July 20. Live only on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com.